Alright, not sure if anyone can hear me, but I guess I'll check the stream later and find out. And if so, re-record this entire fucking thing. Alright, so, there's been a lot of questions on the forum about how to replace one survivor with another. Oh, I did this, and now they're scarecrowing or team modeling or standing around with their arms extended like they're crucified and a jackass. So, and excuse my voice, I've been sick, so. And if I cough and stuff, well, that's why. That's also why you'll hear these, weird mutings. It's because I'm, well, muting. So you don't have to hear my hellacious, horrible man coughs. Alright, so what this is basically going to cover is what you need to do to get started in Left 4 Dead 2 model modding. Now, some of these steps apply to getting started with any kind of modding, like basically how to open a VPK and stuff like that. That's anything you want to do if you want to, customize something someone else has already made. But the main purpose of this is to answer all those what the hell do I do, because I want this thing that's on Zoe and it's not going to be on Francis and I want it on Francis, or whatever the case is. Okay, so first you're going to need a couple of different programs. Now, I'm going to kind of leave this to you to find. I mean, you can just go and bloody Bing it, First of all, you're going to need something called, if I can type, GCFscape. You can find this at NEMS Tools, which is www.nemesis.thewavelength.net. Now, the first time I downloaded this, it screwed up on me over and over and over and over and over again. And it wasn't until I actually went through and read some of the OMG help me comments that I figured out exactly what I needed to do to fix for my individual problem. If you go into the comment section after you've downloaded, just kind of skip to near the end. I think it's near the end. It might be the exact end. You'll see people saying often exactly the errors that I was having, because most of these posts will say, oh, make sure you have the .NET and the Visual C++. Mine was totally up to date, and it still wasn't working. So what I ended up having to do, was go through until I found the proper fix, which might have been on the next page here. Sorry, this is such a professional guide. Didn't do any research ahead of time at all. Excuse me. Trust me when I say that the answer to what you need is in these posts here. But just make sure. I thought his name was something like Problem Solver or something like that. I don't see the post. I could be remembering it wrong too. There we go. Here it is. If you go through this one here, it'll explain which pack exactly you need to download that the extra packs don't cover at the top. Anyways, just make sure that you follow the postings here, and you'll have that program. Now, you don't need to have this one, but it's good to have. It's called VTF Edit. VTF Edit, I had a problem getting it to run. It's also from NEM's tools. NEM pretty much just provides the world with the skills they need to modify Left 4 Dead 2. So everybody thank NEM. There I go, dying again. Alright, so if you go to NEM's tools and find VTF Edit, again, you'll have all the downloads that you need. Installer is perfectly fine. And once more, you'll have to go through the posts. And maybe this is the one that has the guy named like Problem Solver or something like that. So if you have the same issue with posts and stuff like that, sorry I curse a lot, sorry about that. Just go through these and it will basically explain what you need to possibly do to fix it. But you don't have to get VTF Edit. The last thing that you're definitely going to need is some kind of a hex editor. Now, I personally, I have everything all neatly organized here, and I do suggest you do the same. Make your own little folder. Mine's just called My Mods, very creatively, and then, excuse me, go in and I have a hex editor. I just use this particular hex editor right here. For me, it's very simple to read. Left hand side is going to be hex, right hand side is going to be text, and I find this easier to use than Notepad++, but that's just me. If you want to download this one, you just have to go to this website you see here, www.chmaas.handshake.de, and right here, this link, the one with the hex coding next to it, is the free hex editor. It is free. They do ask for a donation. You're not required to give them anything. Of course, if you want to donate, go for it. Otherwise, you're going to have to get Notepad++ or another hex editor of your choice. If you want to get Notepad++, this is Notepad++, you're going to need, see this little H icon right here? You're not going to have this off the bat. You need to download a plugin to get that. You can get that plugin from sourceforge.net/projects/npp-plugins. Alright, just download it from here, and then find your folder that you have Notepad++ installed in. For me, it was normal program files. Oh, I thought it was normal program files. My bad. Maybe it was Program Files 86. Yeah, Program Files 86, Notepad++. And then you'll see a folder called Plugins. Just drag and drop the hexeditor.dll right here after you unzip it. Okay? So, we have our GCFscape. Excuse me. We have our hex editor of our choice. Now we need something to edit. So, you go to your favorite website to get mods. And for this example, we're going to use the favorite website that you clearly use. And you go and grab a mod. Well, actually, I probably shouldn't do my own mod, because I already custom changed this if we want to go with one that's a default one. So let me find somebody else. Let's grab something relatively small. Let's move something for Rochelle on to someone else. Sound good? Sound good. Alright, sounds good to me too. Okay, So we have Riku here. Okay. Riku is from Final Fantasy. Always kind of liked her outfit, but never really had a use for it. So, Riku is by Splinx, and Splinx has never really minded anyone moving their mods onto another thing. So we're going to go ahead and download it. This shouldn't take very long. I have a fairly good connection. And it's not even that big a file, too. Alright, so we're downloading this, and we're going to go and open our, oh, it's not here, our folder, My Mods. And I like to stay really organized, so I'm going to make a new folder altogether. We're going to go with, put it under finished, because those are really better. I'm going to make a new folder, and this folder is going to be called Riku on, I don't know, let's put him on Coach. Let's make Riku really tall, so you could also see the effects of doing this. Alright, so note to everyone, Riku on Coach is whatever your VPK is going to be named, whatever the file, or the folder is that you name. Okay. Another thing you're going to want to do is you can notice right here this vpk.exe shortcut. You don't have to do this, but I suggest it. If you go to your Steam folder, wherever that is, for me, it's under my D. For you, it's probably under your C, Program File Steam. Go to Steam. Excuse me. And then Steam Apps, Common. And then Left 4 Dead 2, Bin, and you scroll down, you're going to find a file here called vpk.exe. What vpk.exe does is it creates VPK files. So you're going to want to create a shortcut, send to, desktop, which I normally would do, but I already have a shortcut, so I don't need to. Then grab the shortcut from here, where it would have appeared, and drag it to whatever folder you're doing your custom stuff in, so you don't have to always be pulling up the common folder in Left 4 Dead 2. I'm telling you, sick people should not stream. Alright, so we have our vpk.exe here. We've created our new folder called Riku on Coach, but as you can tell, it's completely bloody empty. So we downloaded this for Shell Riku, and I'll go ahead and just copy it to my desktop. I don't really need to, but you're probably going to do that, so we're going to go ahead and do things the way that you would. And go ahead and find your GCF scape. I already have mine in my list of recent things, but it's probably going to be just here in your normal program files. GCF scape. Load up. If everything worked out fine, you should see a window that looks like this. Now you can either file open and go to your desktop and grab it, or my favorite thing, just grab the whole bloody VPK, drop it into GFC scape. Now you see one here that says root, and then it lists all the things under it. You're going to grab everything, list it under root, drag it into your custom folder name, and drop it. You can go ahead and close that. It's literally all you need that for. Now you can hold on to this if you're worried about screwing up and you need the originals again. I generally don't keep the original unless I need it for some reason, or I'm doing heavy modding and I'm afraid of messing up. So you see a couple of different files here. First of all, see add-on image.jpg. This image here, I'm going to go ahead and start up GIMP You don't have to have GIMP. You can use whatever bloody editor you want. You don't even have to edit this if you don't want to. This is just, I'm covering every file as I go through, basically. Add-on image.jpg is basically, you know when you go into Left 4 Dead 2 and you click on your add-ons list, and there's like a little picture, and then there's like a description of what it does? This is that little picture. So whatever little picture you put here is going to appear there. Now, something that you should really note, okay? You notice the dimensions on this? All the dimensions for any picture or VTF file or anything has to meet certain parameters. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's not going to import to the game. It's not going to fit properly. So my suggestion to you is if you want to replace something, like you want to replace this add-on, open the picture, take whatever image you want, put it over it, and then save it. Okay? Alright, and just leave it named like that, because the game will know how to handle it. Add-on info.txt basically contains all of the information of what the hell your mod does. Alright, so add-on title, it's what's going to appear in Left 4 Dead 2 on your add-ons list. I like to customize these things a little bit more than the survivor name because I may not remember who replaces what. I don't know if this is the original. I don't know if this is one that I've modified. I may have multiple Rikus. Maybe I want everybody to be a Riku. You know? So I always add whatever onto here. So in this case, we're going to put Riku for Coach. And this part is the description that it's going to basically describe. So we're going to replace this. It's no longer for Rochelle. It's now for Coach. Add-on author is still Splinks. And just because I am egotistical, Coach Port by Horror Fangirl. Steam group name, clearly Splinks does not like Steam group names. Add-on author Steam ID. Just leave that, change it, doesn't really matter. Sorry. Add-on URL is, you know, a link essentially to Left 4 Dead maps. On models, you don't really have to worry about this at all because no one is going to ever be seeing this particular link. Because if you have the model, then you don't need to go download the model. This is more important for like maps. So if someone wants to play a custom map with someone else and they don't have it, they'll have a convenient location to get it. Like if you've ever tried to play a custom map and you don't have it, it'll say on there, oh, you don't have this. Would you like to download it now? And then it'll give you a link. This is essentially what it's doing right here. Add-on description, same thing. This is the slightly smaller text. And I replace that. And then these are basically parameters. This is not a script, it's not music, it's not sound, it's not a prop, it's not prefab. Not background music, it is add-on content. I don't know why it says Nick, because it's not for Nick. It's supposed to be for Rochelle, but I guess he didn't go and change it. You don't have to type Coach in here, or whatever, you know, Survivor here. You can also just put a 1 saying, yeah, it replaces a Survivor. I like putting the name, because it reminds me for later. And blah blah blah, not common infected weapon, none of these things. Okay, so that's why there's zeros. It's like binary. 1 is on, 0 is off, essentially, okay? Alright, so we saved that, and as you can tell I just opened this in Notepad. You don't have to use your hex editor for this. And then, next thing you're going to see here is a resource file. Resource files are all going to be called something similar to this. Generally they all say English, but if you don't speak English, you probably won't say English. And you're going to see this big ass list. Most of this is unimportant. Okay? In fact, I don't even do it like this. I only include the lines that I actually really need. Let me see if I can give you an example. Like, alright, cheerleader, Ellis. Alright, see how I have like a much smaller list, and there's no up down. I'm scrolling. I don't know if you can hear that scrolling in the background. I'm scrolling and nothing's happening. Scroll here, up down. Scroll here, nothing happens. Alright, so the important things here is keep this part, keep this part, keep this part. Now this part here, you're going to need to name it whatever the survivor is. Go ahead and open up another notepad and give you the quick list. So let's say if you want to replace Rochelle, she's called producer. If you want to replace coach, he's coach. If you want to replace Nick, he's the gambler. If you want to replace Alice, he is the mechanic, as you can tell by this example here. If you want to replace Bill, he is the nom-vet. I believe that's what's called. Yep, nom-vet. If you want to replace Zoe, she is, I think it's teen girl. Yeah, teen girl. If you want to replace Francis, he is the biker. And if you want to replace, who'd I miss? I know I'm going to get like flamed. We're not yeah, Lewis. If you want to replace Lewis, he is the manager. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and just keep this little handy dandy list over to the side here. Alright, so in this circumstance, we were replacing the producer, so we're going to want to change this back to Rochelle, because she's no longer being replaced, and that's just my OCD kicking in. You don't actually have to space it like that. But we were replacing Rochelle. We're not any longer. We're going to move this on over to coach. So we're going to grab the coach within the quotation marks, which tells the game what to show, and type in Riku. And then we're going to scroll down. Now see where it says loading posters here? I also have loading posters on mine. You don't need pretty much anything except the test command line that basically says what font and stuff to use, and then whatever line you're actually being replaced. You're actually replacing, sorry. And these are just names very straight up. So you can tell Rochelle is as Riku. And make sure you keep that as. I don't know why, seeing that it doesn't actually show that, but you're going to need that. So now it's Rochelle is once more, whoops, Rochelle, and coach is now Rikuda, drawing up manga. Alright, so file save. That was a reference to Excel Saga, if anybody caught that. Sorry, coughing. Alright, so now we saved, and, whoops, I'm not even looking at the right thing anymore. On back to Riku. Resources, and see, it's replaced now here, and we're going to keep it like that. This basically is what tells the game to rename things. So if you're at the lobby, instead of selecting, coach, it'll read that you're selecting Riku. Instead of reading that you're loading on the poster as, Splinks or, whatever, coach in this case, it's going to read you're loading as Riku on the poster. And you'll see that a little bit better later on. You're actually not going to see it happen with me because I have a custom VPK to rename my stuff. So, but I might disable that actually anyways. But anyways, God, sorry. Miss 28 flavors of sick. Alright, so next section you see is models, and the section above that is materials. We're going to come back to models because that's the one that's the most work intensive, and we're going to go to materials. Two sections here. Models, which you're not going to really need to change anything. Alright, this is basically just this is what stuff looks like, and this is the tech to run it. If you want to get into making your own custom survivors later, that's when you need to start worrying about this. But this is a basic thing, and we are not going to get into all of that right now. We are, however, going to cover VGUI, because if you want to port something over, you might as well do it right or not do it at all. Alright, so as you can tell by these names, they're currently set to replace the reducer. Now, I don't know why Splinks did it like this. I guess to make it easier or something. Yeah. I don't know why. But these VMTs, val material files, the ones that say Riku are not important. The VTFs are. But the VMTs that say Riku are not actually important. Because these other ones that say producer actually point to the proper files and not. Alright, I'm getting way too complicated there. Alright, so just note for the record, in this particular case, Riku VMTs, not necessary. Okay? But, so, we're going to be doing this on Coach, right? So what you need to do is go through and replace every time it says producer with the word Coach. So this one says it. I don't mean to open it. That's what a VTF edit, by the way, looks like, which is more for the tech end of stuff. But I was just giving you a heads up on that you could get it. That says Coach. This one here now says Coach. Whoops, says P Coach. Just Coach. There's no peeing involved at all. I think that's it. I don't see any other producers. Okay, so here's how these basically work. These are the raw files that Splinks made. Like, he went and made it and saved it. Okay? And then he took these files and he turned them into the Valve texture files, the VTFs, which is a special file that gets read by the source engine, essentially. Okay? And then he made these VMTs, which point to the VTFs, which are made out of the BMPs, and basically tells the game, hey, I know you have some files that say point to some other stuff, but we're going to overwrite this. Alright, I want you to listen to this file instead. I hope that makes sense, because I can't think of another way of really explaining it. Just realize that there are S-Panel Coach, S-Panel Coach In-Cap, and S-Panel Lobby Coach normally in the game. And what we're doing is we're just replacing it with our version of it that points to the pictures that we want and we like instead of the other way around. He does such a good job of making his VGUIs. Mine always look like ass because I custom make them in GIMP and I don't know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to filters. Alright, so we've renamed those sections. Sorry for the coffee. And when they compile, they'll replace correctly and not replace Rochelle in the lobby pictures. Instead, oh, I didn't explain that, did I? Okay, I'm sorry. This section are the lobby pictures, the HUD picture, and the in-cap picture. So you know when you're on the ground and you see that little picture of the guys and there's a little health bar underneath it, it replaces that. It replaces the picture you choose in the lobby, and it replaces the little picture that's like the mugshot that has your name next to it and your health thing, the little gray one. It replaces that too. In-cap clearly replaces in-cap. S-Panel Lobby is the bigger one, and S-Panel Coach is the small little gray one. But but that's just more to teach you. Now, if you weren't doing coach, of course you would refer to this handy dandy list right here of who would replace what on that. Okay? So we're backing back out of there, and we're back to our material section. And this time we're going to go into models now. Now, there's two sections here because this one comes with FPS arms. Survivors and weapons. Survivors is the model, like the big 3D humanoid. Weapons, I know it sounds like weapons, but it's actually your arms of what you're showing. So, we're going to start here. Splinks is very nice. He always includes his QCs in case for some reason you need to mess with them. That's much more advanced for this moment. For right now, you can go ahead and ignore this. Just know that basically a QC is the files that get put together to make these files. Okay? Now there's a way to decompile these files to get these files. That is not something I'm going to cover right now because we're doing basics. But I might cover it at a later point if I care. Alright, so we're going to basically ignore the VTX and the VVD, like the actual coding inside of it. All we're going to do is, like we did on the VGUI, we're going to replace where it says producer with the word coach. Now, you may notice that at the end here, it says new. If you look at, hold on here, open up another one. Excuse me. If you look at something like my Cyber Schoolgirl, we'll go with that one, since she's fresh on mine. Francis here. You'll notice one, he's not renamed producer, you know, biker, essentially in his case, like it says right here. He's not renamed biker, he's renamed Francis. This happens for all the original Left 4 Dead ones. They're going to use their own names. Second of all, you'll notice nothing that says new. There's no new at the end. There's a new here, no new here. That is something that is important to note when you're first starting out, because it took me a little while to realize that. So if I wanted to move something from a Left 4 Dead 2 survivor over to a Left 4 Dead 1 survivor, I would screw up on the naming, because I was trying to match it up, thinking, oh, this is simple. Spiker, new. No. Francis, no new. Okay? Go ahead and close that now. Alright, and you notice this one here, the MDL. The MDL is the most important. As you can tell, I've already associated it with my hex editor. If you don't have it associated, you can right-click on it, click Open With, choose Default Program, and under Other Programs, I got an email. Under Other Programs, you may see your hex editor here. I won't see it because it's on my recommended. If you can't, go ahead and browse, find wherever the heck your hex editor or Notepad++ or whatever you use is listed. And you can use it, you can set it for always use the selected program to open this kind of file. I do. But that's up to you. Alright, so go ahead and replace the producer on this one as well. So it reads coach. And then we're going to go ahead and open it. Now, as I mentioned before, the left side is the hexadecimal, and the right-hand side is the actual text. Now, the hex you're going to have to edit barely ever, but this side is the main focus point, okay? So, if you don't want this model on Rochelle, as you can tell here, it says V-Arms Producer. And I'm probably over-explaining this, but in case you didn't realize this on your own. Alright, you have to replace V-Arms with coach underscore new dot MDL. Now, you may notice that I did not delete. I didn't backspace. There was no highlighting and overwriting. I literally went character by character and rewrote it. Alright, if you've never ever touched your insert key before on your keyboard, now is the time to make friends with it. Insert makes you toggle between writing over things and writing in front of things and pushing the rest of it back. If you push hex back, you're going to screw up all of the coding after it, and it's no longer going to work properly. Okay? Another thing you'll notice is IDST, and it has a number 1 here. Basically, this is the model version number. If you're having problems decompiling a model, if you're already past that and stuff like that, change this 1 to a comma, and it will work. Okay? I generally do that just for the hells of it. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put that back. Now you may notice that I've got MDL, right? Because coach is significantly shorter a word than producer. What you're going to do here is highlight the M of the first, well, actually the second part of the repetition. The first time it repeats. And go over here to the hex, click on it, and you see where it says 60. You're going to replace that with 00. It's going to move on to the next character, do the same thing, 00. And the last character, 00. You do not want to push delete. If you push delete, it's not going to update the hex over here, and once again, it's going to screw up everything. Come over here and push save, or file save, or whatever you do for Notepad++. I'm going to show the same process again, real quick, in Notepad++. But I'm not going to explain it quite as much. Okay, so open with Notepad++, and as you can tell, it's a giant fuckaroo of data, right? If you downloaded your plugin and you did it properly, okay, you should have a little H button here. Push the H button, it's going to convert it. Here's that 1 that we were talking about. Right here. And it kind of shows you which correlating hex it is, but I don't really like using this because it's a little clunky to me. And then as you can see here, VArms, Coach New. It's already been renamed, so I'm not going to have to do it again. But you would do the exact same process. On this, it just looks different because it's Notepad++, and I just don't like the interface quite as much. So now with that saved, basically what it's going to say is, alright, I know that originally we had a model to replace Rochelle's arms to give her that weird, fluffy Riku sleeves. Well, now we want Riku sleeves on Coach. So we're going to go ahead and back up to the models again. And now we're going to go to Survivors. Again, see this QC file that has all of the information. Go ahead and once again ignore it. We're going to do the same thing again. Go ahead and replace everything that says producer with the word coach. And on this one, of course, you can backspace, download, highlight, doesn't matter. After I replace the DX90 or the DX80 or both, I always highlight the survivor part, copy it, because it's just easier. Whoops, didn't mean to open that. It's just easier to Control V, Control V, Control V, and just paste it all there. Now we're going to do the same process here. Now you're probably thinking, oh, I know what I'm going to do now, and I'll just skip this. Don't skip on me, okay? Because this next part is important, and I think I'm one of the only people to do it this way, so I'm the only one that can really teach you how to do this. Alright, so same exact thing here. Go to where it starts with producer, replace it with, and don't backspace if you screw up. Just go back, click on it again, retype. Coach.mdl, extra icons, 0000000. Now you may think that you're done, because you were done on the arms, right? Absolutely not. If you want these animations to work online, you're going to have to do one more step. Okay? Now, if you plan on just using this offline, you're more than willing to just save, quit now, close this bloody tutorial, and go tra-la-la your way offline. But if you play versus like I do, and you don't want to see a jockey jump on them, and they look like a complete Riri, and they won't fall down when they're end-capped, and when they're dead they just stand there like a jackass, and you can't really tell they're dead when you're, on the versus, on the infected team and shit like that, and it screws with your hitbox and all that jazz, you're going to want to take another step. If you scroll to the very bottom, as you can tell, this was the top, scrolled all the way to the bottom. You're going to find a section that lists off some MDLs. animproducer.mdl, animgestures.mdl. Now, gestures is the only thing that's going to be pretty much the same and left the same on every single custom survivor. The only exception for this is Lewis and Francis. For some reason, they don't use anim gestures. They use this gestures_biker.mdl. So on them, you would have to replace this section as well, so it reads this if it doesn't already. But for this case, we don't have to worry about that. Now, just like the list above, whoever you're replacing, you need to put the correlating anim with. So it's anim_producer, and we need to change this to coach.mdl. And once again, we have extra icons. So I'm going to go ahead and put 000000. Anim gestures is totally fine right now. So we're going to go over here and push save. Now the bad thing about doing this ghetto version that I do and not decompiling and resizing it, trying to line it up with the survivors and all the stuff you have to do in Blender, is it's going to conform it to Coach's skeleton. Now what I mean by that is Coach is he's a freaking pretty tall boy. Alright, so Enrico is, well, not so tall. So when you put him on Coach, they're going to link out. Riku's going to become Mr. Lanky. They're going to become thin, and they're going to become tall, and they're going to have their shoulders more widely spread apart, their arms a little more widely spread apart, and of course they're going to have man animations. So the movements of Coach are going to not teleport, but translate over to the other one. Now, Zek McCaw told me that there is a way that you can make it work online and have replacements for all the female animations. But he hasn't explained that process to me yet, and it looks like it involves decompiling and things like this. So this is basically the hextacular ghetto hacking rig up, essentially. So now that we've edited all our files, we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and back out. And you see the file here named Riku on Coach. We're going to grab this entire folder and drag it down to vpk.exe. When you drop it, you're going to see that little black box pop up. Go ahead and ignore it. And then boom, Riku on Coach VPK. Okay? So, now you go ahead and find your add-ons folder. I'm assuming by now you already know how to put an add-on in something. If you don't know how to put an add-on, then you probably wouldn't be modifying it because you don't know how to work them. But you find your Steam folder, Steam Apps, Common, Left 4 Dead 2 with spaces, Left 4 Dead 2 with no spaces, and then add-ons. Whatever you want to use, you just drop in there, and the game will load it unless it's a sound file, in which case you have to take some extra steps. Alright, now we're going to grab Riku Coach, drop it into our add-ons here, and then, excuse me, this part, of course, you don't have to do, but I already have a survivor on Coach, and I also have that custom rename. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move this back to where I grabbed it from right now. Come up here. Rename my add-ons folder to add-ons 2 just for now. Don't worry about doing that yourself. This is just for this example, so only this one add-on will load. But as you can tell, I have an add-ons SS, and that's where I put the add-ons I don't use, but I don't want to drag and drop everything into add-ons SS. So, alright, so you're in your add-ons folder, which is now empty. Ah, look at that. Oops. I should have named it add-ons with an S. There we go. And drag and drop Riku there. Okay? Now that you've done that, you can go ahead and close out of everything. Close out of whatever other files that you have up. I'll go ahead and leave that, just in case you guys want to see it again later. And we're going to go and load up Left 4 Dead 2. So Left 4 Dead 2 is in my recent launches. Go ahead and click on that and launch it. And then we're going to sit here and stare at each other while we wait for this to do so. La 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 Quinta. Alright, there it goes. And oh crap, you're not gonna be able to see anything because it's full screen. At least I don't think you'll be able to see anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and window this. If you're just looking at my beautiful wallpaper right now, I apologize. Just deal with it. Picture more awesome things are happening right now. Imagine happy bunnies and fluffy kitties and stuff like that. Excuse me. Options, video, full screen, run in a window, done. Alright, you should be able to see it now, though the size is kind of jacked up. Go ahead and make that a little bit smaller. There we go. Now you should be able to see everything. Alright, so you can test this on single player, but it's not going to really tell you if any of your animations are broken or not. So what I do generally, what is that? What world is that up? Oh, I guess it's just deleted for some reason. I go to play campaign, play with friends, create a new campaign, friends only game, create lobby. Choose character, and now you see Riku. Should say coach there. Instead it says Riku. It's got a custom picture and everything. Click on Riku. Now this is not, of course, going to replace any voices. When you want to replace voices, you have to go get a voice mod, or you have to go make a voice mod. This is all visual, and if you wanted voices, well, tough titty. Okay, so you can choose the character if you want to test the FPS arms. That's what we're going to go ahead and do first, because that's going to take the least amount of time. We're just going to go ahead and go to dead center. And take forever to load, because Steam fixed their servers. You know, fixed. Ah, really? Alright, they didn't even fix their servers anymore. Okay, so this is not going to be a great demonstration, because without the servers being quote-unquote fixed, you're not going to know for sure whether or not it works online. Well, I guess it will. Still. So we're going to go ahead and do a best available dedicated takeover server. And hopefully it's not going to be one that's too heavily modded, or one that has what I call whitelisting. Whitelisting is basically it only uses files that are approved, and it will actually force you to use the appropriate game models and replace any custom game models that you have. Those servers, there's just no way around it, unfortunately. There's nothing you can do. You can have the best designed model out there, you know, with the beautiful, perfect, non-ghetto rigging and coding, and it's not going to matter. Not going to make a single lick of difference, because those servers are basically going to say, oh, hey, I see you have a custom survivor there. That's a really nice survivor. I'm going to make you use Ellis anyways. No, really. I think that you missed Ellis. I think you really need to use Ellis. So, anyways, as you can tell, sorry, I load a little slow. Opinion servers, fantastic. These people do whitelist sometimes, so we're going to see. But, nope, looks like this is not one of them. So, as you can tell, VGUI was coach. Go ahead and push my button so I can do third form. And the animations work just fine. I am not T-modeled at all. Jiggle bones all still work. And if you look at the bottom right, you can see I have my custom HUD as well. Hands and everything are all perfectly fine. I've got the poofy, fluffy sleeves and the little gloves, and I don't look like a very large black man. Go ahead and shoot Rochelle, just so I can heal Rochelle. And as you can tell, animations work just fine. Still sounds like Coach though. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and test some things. I'm going to switch it back to third person view so you can see the animations without me having to return to lobby. Door opening worked just fine. Shooting's working just fine. Taking out all of these zombies. Reloading, just fine. Running around a corner. Jumping. Squatting, working fine. You can tell her shoulders are a little bit stretched out. That's because Coach is a little bit stretched out. And I wouldn't have shot you if you hadn't walked in front of it. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and fall off. I was reloading, so the animations were a little borked there. But as you can tell, getting up, everything works just fine. I'm going to go ahead and end cap ourselves. Ooh, fire. Makes me DPS harder. It won't let me just stand and fire. It naturally just shoves me out of it. I don't know how people die to fire, by the way. It takes so bloody long. I was playing Penumbra Overture earlier this evening, and I came to a part where I had to stop these baddies with fire. And I played so much Left 4 Dead 2, I was like, I'm going to throw this fire, and then just walk straight through it. There we go. Give me some spit. Spit'll do it. Ah, spit ran out. Okay, well, as you can tell, the hobbled animation is working just fine. That's another one that screws up. No! You stupid biatch! Don't heal me! Ah, crap. Ugh. Helpful bots. They're stupid healing people. Alright, so we're going to try and take some, like, damage from this spit here. Hey, Spitter, what's up? What's up, hot stuff? So hot. Alright, fall animations work perfectly fine. No T-boning, no T-modeling. Helpful bots are totally not picking me up. There they go. And getting up is fine. So as you can tell, all the animations work just fine. It was really easy. And once you're used to it, you can do it really fast. Everything works fine. I'm not playing by myself. I'm doing a recording to explain how to do survivor replacement. Which I'm actually about to leave this game right now. But thanks for, totally photobombing my tutorial. Yeah, you're totally fine. But hi! Alright, bye. Oops, I meant to mute during that cough. Sorry about that. But yeah, as you can tell, everything worked perfectly fine. And yeah, so here's the list one more last time. For anybody that needs to see it, just pause it. And don't forget, it's NM underscore whatever. So gambler.mdl or whatever the case is, okay? Hope this was helpful for you guys, and hope I don't see any more posts on the forum going, how I replace Survivor. Alright.